lost. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord.
Great crowds were traveling with Jesus, and he turned and addressed them. If anyone comes to me without hating his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not carry his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. Which of you, wishing to construct a tower, does not first sit down and calculate the cost to see if there is enough for its completion? Otherwise, after laying the foundation and finding himself unable to finish the work, the onlooker should laugh at him and say, "This one began to build, but did not have the resources to finish." Or what king marching into battle would first not sit down and decide whether with 10,000 troops he can successfully oppose another king advancing upon him with 20,000 troops? But if not, while he is still far away, he will send a delegation to ask for peace terms. In the same way, any one of you who does not renounce all his possessions cannot be my disciple. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Please be seated. I want to remind you of an old story I'm sure you've heard before about the man who hated Italians. I mean, he despised Italians. He was always yelling, "Dago this and wop that." His poor wife was just constantly embarrassed by this horrible attitude he had against Italians. One day they went out for dinner. After dinner they went for a walk, and oh no. There was an Italian organ grinder and a monkey.
Oh.
And the wife just braces herself thinking he's going to kick the monkey or do something really, really horrible. She braces herself, and sure enough, the monkey comes up to the guy and sticks the cup out. But the guy smiles. He smiles, he reaches into his wallet, he pulls out a $5 bill, puts it in the cup. And his wife she can't believe it. She's amazed. And she says, "Honey, I can't believe you did that. That was the sweetest thing I've ever seen. I thought you hated Italians." And he said, "Well, yeah, I still do, but gosh, they're so cute when they're little." All right. He didn't really hate Italians any more than Jesus really meant what it sounds like he meant, that we have to hate our own families. Can you imagine hating your own family? No, that's not really what the intention is, because first of all, we don't take Scripture literally. We have to understand the context, and we have to find a better word than hate, because that's really not a good translation of the word that was used. So to understand what Jesus was really meaning, remember Schindler's List?
Yes.
Did you see that movie? Great movie, right? Oscar Schindler, a member of the Nazi Party during the Second World War, knew that what they were doing to the Jews was wrong. And so he did what he could do to protect some of them by creating Schindler's List, right? A list that told the German government that we need these people in the factory to work, so don't kill them. And it turned out that because of this list and the people he kept off, 1,300 lives were saved by what Oscar Schindler did. That's pretty impressive. But not as impressive as, I think, a couple other people you've never heard of. In Athens, Greece, where the Germans were occupying, there was a bishop in Athens, Archbishop Damaskinos. And he very publicly condemned what the Germans were doing to the Jews. So much so that the local German commandant publicly threatened to have him shot for it. And the bishop very famously sent him a telegram after that and said, "Bishops in our church are hanged, not shot. Please respect our tradition." So not only did he risk his life by publicly coming out and decrying the Germans for what they were doing to the Jews, he secretly told his priests to pass out baptismal certificates to anybody and everybody, all the Jews. And if they had a baptismal certificate, then they weren't Jews. So they faked and forged thousands of baptismal certificates, secretly. And so this bishop actually wound up saving way more lives than Oskar Schindler did. But neither one of them can compare to a guy named Shunryu Sugihara from Japan. This guy was born January 1st, 1900, beginning of the new century. And he had a very strange childhood dream. His childhood dream was to be ambassador to Russia, representing Japan. Any of you ever have a fantasy like that?
No.
I can't imagine. But that was his dream, and so he studied and learned many different languages and joined, I guess, their equivalent of the State Department. And in 1940, he was appointed like the vice ambassador, not to Russia, but to Lithuania. I guess a stepping stone in your career ladder. And while he was in Lithuania in 1940, he could look around and see what was happening to the Jews too. And Jews that stuck around for any length of time were bound to be killed. And so he cabled Tokyo, or whatever the Japanese government was, and he asked permission to give exit visas, or visas from the Japanese embassy in Lithuania. Because if they had an exit visa, they could at least get out of the country and maybe find a safe place. Well, they denied it. And he wrote back again, begging them, please let me grant visas to these people. And again, they denied him. A couple weeks later, he did it a third time. He cabled them, and they denied him again. And I guess they were getting a little irritated with him repeatedly asking, so they said, we're denying your request, and you have 30 days left in your job. Then you were recalling you to Japan. So Mr. Sugihara, knowing that he had 1 month left in Lithuania, did something really terrible for Japanese who also have that honor thing going on. He disobeyed a government order. He couldn't get anybody else to help him disobey the government order, so by himself, he started spending 18 hours a day handwriting visas and giving them to every Jew that came to the embassy. In 28 days, he did 10,000 handwritten visas. Even as he was leaving on the train, there's a picture of him throwing them out the train window, writing the last one. To write 10,000 visas in 28 days, he really must have spent day and night. Well, he saved a minimum of 6,000 lives, and because the visa applied to the whole family, that number could go up to 40,000. He did it by disobeying his government and obeying God. All these three men acted on their Christian faith to say, I have to risk losing my family, losing my country, losing things that are dear to me in order to love and respect God, in order to do the right thing. That's what Jesus is talking about in the gospel. Not that we hate. The word that's better translated is make less of a priority your family. Meaning, of course you're going to love your family. Of course you're going to take care of your family. Do anything you want, in fact, as long as God goes first. As long as God is the priority, then everything else will fall into place nicely. Now sometimes that might mean you're going to irritate or annoy your family or disappoint them. You may even dishonor them. And nobody wants that to happen, but sometimes it has to happen in order to do the right thing. So all we're really being reminded of, in this very stern and stark way by Jesus in the gospel today, is to say, what's your priority? What's number one? If you got number one right, the rest will fall into place. All this is part of our faith, which we now stand for.